Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Naviesko. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We're here to announce the formation of the new Cobourg Taxpayers Association. I would like to start by welcoming some special guests that we have here with us today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Christine Van Gyn, Ontario Director for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Jim Ronson, current chair of the Port Hope Ratepayers Association. And Al Hoffman, current chair of the Citizens Council of Hamilton Township. Thank you all for coming. Christine, Jim, and Al will have a few words to say a little later. We will invite questions from the media after Lydia and her guests have finished with their remarks. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Lydia Smith, President of the Cobourg Taxpayers Association. Lydia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Actually, it's a great morning. Welcome and thank you for coming today. The Cobourg Taxpayers Association is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit corporation that will advocate for the municipal taxpayer. Our primary goal is to focus on waste because we believe that cutting waste could translate into cuts in our taxes. We also would like to see a municipal council and town staff who are more responsive to the needs of citizens and businesses. Our mission is to watch, gather, analyze, and report information to the general public, and to make recommendations to town council and staff. The Cobourg Taxpayers Association will uncover and expose weaknesses in municipal administration that cost everyone money. We intend to investigate and report on situations that appear to be conflicts of interest, or that show favoritism towards special interest groups. The Cobourg Taxpayers Association brings experience from industry, corporations, small business, associations, and government. We know that taxes are a fact of life. Death and taxes, right? Taxes are a necessary evil, but they are there for the protection of people and property, for the delivery of safe drinking water, for maintaining our streets, and for other important municipal services. We think these essential services must be undertaken with a new attitude. We want to see an attitude, a culture of accountability that will seek to eliminate waste and bring down property tax levels, because high taxes act as barriers to economic growth and to an inviting business climate. The Cobourg Taxpayers Association has concerns and questions about several key issues that affect Cobourg taxpayers. Two of them include increased municipal staffing levels and salaries, and the Town of Cobourg Holdings, Inc. Let's start with staffing levels and salaries. During the 4-year term of the previous council, Cobourg's population has remained relatively unchanged. So we wonder, why is it that the total number of town staff have jumped from 266 to 325, and total payroll costs have increased by just over 30%. During this same 4-year period, the number of town staff earning over $100,000 almost doubled from 18 to 31. Show of hands, how many people here are making over $100,000? I thought so. And the total municipal portion of property tax levies grew by over 13%. Now let's talk about the Town of Cobourg Holdings, Inc. Mayor Brocanier, by virtue of his office, sits as the chair of the Town of Cobourg Holdings, Inc. This company is also known as Holdco, and it is a parent company of several subsidiaries that deliver electricity, water and water treatment, and internet fiber optic services. So, we wonder why Holdco provides no financial disclosure to the public. None. Even though it is 99.9% owned by the town of Cobourg, and therefore by us, its citizens. Why does the mayor excuse this by continuing to say that it's a private company? We will ask hard questions, and we will not stop asking until we get answers. The Cobourg Taxpayers Group welcomes citizen involvement. We hope that people will talk to us about their concerns and consider becoming supporters. We also hope they will provide us with any information that can help us eliminate waste or improve efficiency in order to reduce everyone's taxes. We invite Cobourg citizens to visit our website or to sign up for our email list to receive regular updates. And we have some brochures, business cards, and forms if you wanted to sign up to become a supporter on that desk at the back there. Our website address is www.cobourgtaxpayers.ca. And now I'd like to turn this news conference back over to Dennis Nebiesco. Dennis?
Thank you, Leah. Before we take any questions, I'd like to make some introductions. First, I'd like to introduce the officers of the Cobourg Taxpayers Association. Lydia Smith, our president. Paul Pagnuello, our treasurer. And myself, Dennis Nebiesco, as secretary. We also have an advisory committee that has been helping us tremendously in providing guidance and identifying and researching issues that need to be addressed. The advisory committee includes Paul Lambert, Warren McCarthy, Johnny Percolidis, Ken Strauss, Frank Thibodeau, and Paul Whitehead. Andy Tesla could not be here with us, but he is also part of the committee. Our thanks to this group of people who have helped to make the Cobourg Taxpayers Association possible. Our next speaker is Christine Van Gyn, Ontario Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Prior to joining the CTF, Christine practiced commercial litigation and corporate law in Toronto with some of Canada's leading law firms. She also has an honors BA in political science and ethics. Christine?
Thank you so much, Dennis. My name is Christine Van Gyn. I'm the Ontario Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. We are a non-profit group, non-partisan group made up of 82,000 members, and we're funded solely by non-tax deductible donations by over 30,000 donors. We advocate for lower taxes, less waste, and accountability in government at the national and provincial level. While we don't endorse any particular ratepayers associations, I do know a number of people on the Cobourg Taxpayers Association, so I also do always like any excuse to come to beautiful Cobourg on a summer day like this. So thank you very much for inviting me. Our position is that it's at the local level, people on the ground are best suited to advocate for local accountability in government. So some of the issues that we work with ratepayers associations in Ontario on are, for example, on the issue of the arbitration process for compensation for example, police or fire at the local level, which those salaries can have the overall consequences of putting a huge financial strain on small municipalities like Cobourg. I think those are maybe some of the issues that the Cobourg Taxpayers Association might be dealing with. We also do work with ratepayers associations through a guide that we've published on our website, taxpayer.com. It gives some helpful instructions on how local municipalities can form their own ratepayers associations. And I'm really thrilled that Cobourg has taken the initiative to form their own Ratepayers Association. I know that you're going to do a fearless job keeping your local council accountable and advocating for lower taxes in your beautiful town. So thank you very much for having me here today, and I'll turn it back to you, Dennis.
Thank you, Christine. And now, a few words. I'd like to introduce Jim Ronson from the Port Hope Ratepayers Association. Jim?
Yes, I'm Jim Ronson from the Port Hope Ratepayers Association. I'm the chairperson, and I bring greetings from Port Hope and congratulations to the group on forming a new Taxpayers Association. We certainly saw a sea change in our last election in Port Hope, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. Two former chairpersons of our group became councillors. We have a new working relationship with the mayor that is unprecedented in Port Hope municipal politics, and we continue to work with the mayor and also question the mayor and his councillors as to their decisions in terms of accountability, the taxpayer burden, etc. So we're there to question, and we're there to also work together with them. As well, we look forward to working with the new Cobourg Taxpayers Association, both at the municipal and the council level. So congratulations.
Thank you, Jim. And now a few words from Al Hoffman from the Citizens Council of Hamilton Township. Al?
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for having us participate in your launch today. We just launched recently ourselves, and part of it was because Winston Churchill said that democracy is the best imperfect form of government yet devised by humankind. You are setting out to create a more perfect government, as we are, and congratulations on that from us in Hamilton Township. Our association, our logo is two eyes, and it's, again, as you are, eyes on the prize, eyes on the politicians. Lydia, I want to know, where do I sign up? I may be a resident of Hamilton Township, but I run a business here in Cobourg.
Okay.
And I hope that as we're trying to represent both residents and businesses in the township.
Absolutely.
Some of you may know that I worked with Dr. Galton. He was the MPP for 8 years as a his communications officer. And it came to our attention that Cobourg has some of the highest municipal taxes of any municipality of its size in southern Ontario. So you've got your work cut out for you, and again, I would ask what took you so long. Other than that, thank you so much for having us, and we look forward very much to partnering with you and working to the same goals that you guys are trying to create.
Thanks, Al.
I also have a couple of congratulatory messages from the Toronto Taxpayers Coalition and the York Region's Taxpayers Coalition, who couldn't be here today. Dear Lydia, on behalf of the York Region Taxpayers Coalition, I want to extend a warm welcome to you as the president of the newly formed Cobourg Taxpayers Association. We have heard many glowing reports of your work in the community. Congratulations on your appointment. We are confident that your influence will continue to encourage our proud tradition of involvement in worthwhile municipal causes. At this time, we are supporting legislation in favor of accountability in local government, and we hope you will support these initiatives. Signed, Maddie DiMuccio, President of the York Region Taxpayers Coalition. To the newly formed Cobourg Taxpayers Association. In 2010, the Toronto Taxpayers Coalition was founded on the mandate of bringing accountability, less waste, and lower taxes to the municipal taxpayer. Part of our success came about as a result of the encouragement from ordinary citizens who wanted to see improvement in local government. As president of the Toronto Taxpayers Coalition, it's my pleasure to extend my welcome and congratulations to your board of directors and your membership. Cobourg residents have much to be thankful for with the formation of your association, and we look forward to working towards improving an accountable system of municipal government in Ontario together. Signed, Andrea Michieli, President of the Toronto Taxpayers Coalition. Now, we welcome questions from the media. Please give your name and the name of your news organization before you ask your question. John.
Yes, John Hill, Northumberland 89.7. Last night's Cobourg Council meeting, Lydia, you presented a letter criticizing the increase of staff in parks and recreation. Following the meeting, I questioned the mayor, and he said the statistics that you pointed out in that letter are just untrue. Would you care to comment on that?
Thank you, John. I would love nothing more than to comment on that. Oh, what a tempest in a teapot. I guess what I want to explain is, back on September 1st, I wrote a letter to the municipal clerk and asked for my letter to go on the agenda, because my intention was to ask questions in council, in public, where everyone could have a conversation about it. I received a letter back from the mayor saying that my letter was full of erroneous information and that he denied me the opportunity to read it aloud in council, which is what I wanted. So because he denied me the opportunity to read it aloud in council, I was not there yesterday. He did say in his letter to me that it was full of erroneous information. Well, all he really had to do was allow me the opportunity to speak about it in council and for him to correct the erroneous information or to say, we'll get back to you or whatever. I wanted a public discussion. That's the whole point. We want to have these discussions in public. The allegedly erroneous information came from a financial information report that the town of Cobourg is required to file with Ontario municipalities. So it's a legal document filed by the town of Cobourg, and if the information there is wrong, then I await an explanation, I guess. That's about all I can say. I mean, in a way it's wonderful for us because it's created a lot of publicity, it's created a lot of buzz, which is absolutely wonderful. But what I really regret is the methodology, and that's the whole problem. I shouldn't say it's the whole problem, but it's one of the problems or one of the issues that I have. I really would like to see the opportunity for us to have a dialogue. In the paper where they're looking for a director of parks and recreation, position is over $100,000 a year. Would you not think that if they were advertising for that kind of a position, that they would have done some research and that they would know what their payroll numbers were for the end of 2014 compared to the end of 2010? Wouldn't you think that they would know what their Parks and Rec staff were at the end of 2014 compared to the end of 2010? If they don't have that information, how did they decide that they needed a director of Parks and Rec? So I welcome a continuation of the conversation. That's really what I'm looking for, is a public conversation. Now, I have been invited. You know, the mayor asked me to come in and speak with Stephen Peacock. He asked me to come in and speak with Ian Davey. It's not the point. This needs to be a public conversation. It's the public's money. And the conversation should take place in public, not in somebody's office with the door closed. Next question, please. Thank you, John.
Greg McCullough, 1079 The Breeze.
Hi, Greg.
I was just wondering if this groundswell is as much is business as much as property taxpayers at the residential level. Are you also hearing from businesses as well?
I would say that probably at this moment we have not heard much from business yet. Our purpose really was to keep the group quite small at the beginning, keep it under wraps, do some research, and this really is our first rollout, if you will. I have been a business owner myself since 1998. Economic development is very, very important to me. This really is how my journey here started, because when I moved to Cobourg in July of 2011, I found the town was very vibrant. in the 4 years that I've lived here, I get to press now when I go down on King Street, although I do see signs now of life. But I really felt that something needed to change, which is why I got involved in this. I am now a small business coach for the Business Advisory Center, Northumberland. And I would welcome, if business has not gotten the message yet, we hope that we will after today. We want business in Cobourg to thrive. We want everyone to thrive. Everyone loves this town. Every single one of us here. We may have different ways of going about, or may have different ideas of what we think is best for it, but our intentions are all the same. We love this town, and we want to see it grow and prosper, not only for us, but for future generations. And thank you for that question, Greg, for giving me an opportunity to invite businesses to join with us. Thank you. Next question, please.
Lydia, Mark Rockburn, TV Cogeco. Can you explain to how you got to this point today? The background, how it started, the grassroots of where we are today?
How far back do you want me to go? We have limited time, so I'll give you the short version. What you need to know about me is that I'm an entrepreneur. I hate politics and I hate committees, and yet, look at me. I guess for me, what really crystallized it was the Park Theatre. I did my first ever delegation at Town Council about the Park Theatre. And for the record, I'm not opposed to the Park Theatre. What I was opposed to and continue to be opposed to is the process. It bothered me that they just willy-nilly voted to give $600,000 to what I consider a special interest group without a business case. Now, I have no objection to the people in the Park Theatre group. I know a lot of them, I respect a lot of them, I know that they are business people in the town. What I objected to was the fact that it was done without a business case. That's one part. The other part was where the money came from, because the $600,000 came from the holding company, Holdco, which was put into a Town of Cobourg reserve fund. The next morning, when I saw what had happened, I talked to a lot of people, and they were all, what happened? Why aren't they getting it? Why aren't they listening to us? And what occurred to me was that we had no power. They have power, but I was just one person standing up there. Paul Panuello has stood up before to talk about budget. He's got a lot of good points. Warren has been up making a presentation. Paul Whitehead was there that night as well. Each one of us were just individuals, just Paul, just Lydia, just whatever. And so we had no power. And I realized in that moment that if we were going to have power, to fight power, you have to have power, and we were going to have to organize. And in that moment, the idea was born. Thank you. Next question.
Another question from Northumberland 89.7. One of the items that you said you'd be interested in is Holdco. Holdco is the holding company for lakefront utilities. And the mayor argues that the electricity rates in Cobourg are as low as they are anywhere in the province. Why would you want to criticize something like that?
I'm going to turn the microphone over to either Ken or Paul. Who wants to take this one? You will? Thank you. Ken Strauss, please.
Hello. I guess a couple of things. Why are we not the lowest rate? I believe the mayor said, or his worship says that we're the 8th lowest. Most of the other companies that supply electricity in the province to small towns are private companies. Viridian, for example, in Port Hope. And they make a profit for their owners, their shareholders. In Cobourg, we get a 9.2%, B rather likes me, a 9.2% return on equity for the holding company. That money is put into the Holdco reserves and treated essentially as a slush fund. I don't know how many times I've heard the mayor say, it won't raise your taxes. No, it won't raise our taxes. But we could be paying 9.2% less for electricity and perhaps not buying the Park Theatre, or maybe we should buy the Park Theatre, but it should be debated by the taxpayers in town and should be a conscious decision. There's no free lunch. The same as the community center. It won't cost us a penny. except we paid over $800,000 for it last year. Does that sort of answer your question? Or?
Thank you, John. Next question, please. Yep.
Greg McCullough from
Hi, Greg.
Montana.
You're back again, eh? Came back for more.
Yeah. I was just wondering, given the dialogue that you've had with the town so far on this and the mayor's reticence to speak openly with you, do you anticipate that there may not be a meaningful dialogue with Town Hall as it relates to your overall mandate?
I sincerely hope, you know what, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that one. I sincerely hope not, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm all about building things. I'm all about every one of us can be more together than we are on our own. And if you go back to the delegation that I did about the Park Theatre, you'll actually find it on Cobourg Internet. The letter, I think, is still there in its entirety. You will see in there that I talked about how disappointed I was that we keep having this us versus them. That doesn't help anybody. I mean, I just look at this wonderful organization, these wonderful people that we're working. I could not have done any of this by my own. We're so much stronger together. And I think that it would be, I don't even know what the word is, sad, disappointing, if they didn't consider welcoming us, maybe not with open arms, but with open minds, because we really do care about what is good for the town. We're not, I personally believe that, you know, everyone there, council, town staff, whatever, they're all doing the best that they can. They're just people. A lot of them perhaps have not come from a business background. Maybe there are some things, or maybe they didn't come from a financial background. Maybe there are some things that we know that might be able to help them or give them another way of looking at it that would benefit everyone. So I certainly hope that that is not their attitude. And I know our intention is, we tend to meet weekly. We have met actually with a couple of the federal candidates so far, just to kind of talk to them about what they're up to and get to know them and have them get to know us. Although it was done unofficially as a chat group, not as the Cobourg Taxpayers Association. We'd still like to meet with the other two, but our intention as well is to, you know, invite each councillor, invite the mayor, invite the deputy mayor, come and sit down with us, have breakfast with us, let's just chat. So that's our intention. We hope it is theirs as well. Thank you. Next question.
Chris Pelchet with Northumberland View.
Yes.
So yeah, you've mentioned you've mentioned Holdco, you've mentioned the Park Theatre. Is there any what are the criteria for what projects are you going to be looking at as far as what you're going to be focusing your efforts on?
That's the tough part. That's a great question. We're going to be busy for a very long time, sadly. So what are the criteria? Some of it depends on time frame. So as something is coming up, that's one of the criteria. Another one is where we think that we can make the biggest difference. But there are so many others that we haven't even mentioned. A really simple one that I'd like to see very soon is a recorded vote. Right now in council, when a vote is taken, you basically get, unless it's called specifically for a recorded vote, what happens is hands go up and it's either the motion is either accepted or it's denied. So if you go back a year ago, let's say, you want to go into the minutes and see how did they vote on something. How did they vote on the Park Theatre? How did they vote on the marina expansion? However you personally feel about those issues, you have no way of going back to see what your councillor that you voted for or your councillors did. If there was a recorded vote, you would be able to go back and see that. So governance is very important. But we've got lots of issues. Does that answer your question? Is that good enough? All right, thank you. Any more questions? No?
Lydia, I have a question.
Yes?
Was the mayor...
Of course you do, Al. I don't know you very well, but of course you have a question.
You don't ask any questions you don't want to hear the answer to.
Okay.
Was the mayor and council invited to this launch this morning?
Paul?
No, they weren't. This launch today was intended to be essentially a media launch, a news conference. It wasn't intended to be a public meeting by any sense of the word. We wanted to get our message out today to the media in terms of who we are, what we're about, and what our plans are for the future. I can tell you that after this news conference ends today, Lydia is going over to Town Hall to leave a copy of our news release with the communications officer. It's certainly our intent to try and meet with council in the very near future as an introductory meeting. We haven't decided yet how that's going to be put together, whether it be through a delegation to council or whether we ask council if we can have a meeting with perhaps just the mayor. We know we can't meet with all of council combined because that then becomes sort of an illegal council meeting. But it's, as Lydia said, it's our intent to try and work with the media, with council in terms of solving some of the big issues that face our community. And high taxes, if you talk to anybody in town, high taxes are the #1 issue. And particularly when it comes to new growth, business retention, we'll never attract new business to town with the high taxes that we have. So that's going to be a key focus in terms of economic development in this town.
Here, here.
Thank you, everyone. I think that concludes our press conference today. We would like to thank each and every one of you for coming. Thank you very much. And we welcome you to visit our website, cobourgtaxpayers.ca. We welcome you to hang around and talk to us afterwards if you want to know more. There are business cards, sign-up sheets over there. And any information, any ideas that you have, anything you can do to work with us, we welcome that. Thank you very much for coming. And stay tuned.
Thank you.